Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. As you can see from Alith Anar here, we're going to be taking the High Elves today, fighting up against the Empire, so let's go ahead and jump straight to the army compositions. I'm going to be fighting under the banner of Nagarith here, so we've got Alith Anar. In terms of his item loadout, he's got the Stone of Midnights for some additional missile resistance in case he gets shot at. We've also got Slippery, Mislead, and the Moon Bow for a nice single target explosion, kind of a magic missile, I guess you could call it. We've also got 4 units of Illyrian Reaver Archers. One of them is the Heralds of the Wind Regiment of Renown. Very good combat stats. They can deal damage at range and compromise the back line up close. We've also got 4 units of Spearmen in the front line, 3 units of Dragon Princes, which I have to say, in the Nagarith color scheme, are probably the best looking unit in the game. I love this black and gold, very, very classy looking with the red accents and everything. I've decided to call these guys the Tuxedo Princes because they just look that snazzy. Absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, that's pretty much it for my build, a Life Mage. And yeah, for my opponent, you can see the rockets already opening up shots. He does have the Sunmaker. I'm sure you guys are quickly discovering, but the rockets actually do pure AP almost now, so they're going to be pretty decent. If even one of the rockets makes solid contact with your unit, it'll do a lot of damage. For his front line, he's got swordsmen, just state troop swordsmen with the Sigmar Sons. Plenty of Empire Knights. We've got 2 units of them. We've also got 2 handgunners. One of them is the Silver Bullets. We've also got these Demigryph Knights. No Royal Altar Griffites, just regular old Demigryph Knights. Boris Todbringer is going to be leading the way, and we've also got a Shadow Wizard on foot, a Grey Wizard rather. He's got Enfeebling Foe, Penumbral Pendulum, and the Withering. So without further ado, let's get the battle into full gear. You can see the forces of the Empire scaling up the hill here as the rockets fire over. Right now they're only hitting Spearmen, which is not the best target, but the Sunmaker actually deals fire damage, and the Dragon Princes themselves have heavy fire resistance, so if they take a shot, they won't take that much damage from it, but it'll do a lot to those Spearmen. You can see we're immediately going to be pushing around the side here with these Illyrian Reavers, since most of my opponent's mobile forces are over on the far flank. Figured we could get in here, immediately compromise the back line, take down these handgunners. So you can see handgunners just going for a ride down the hill, tumbling down, and these Silver Bullets as well also getting compromised. So a pretty high value unit. This Illyrian Reaver is going to pay for itself pretty much immediately, taking these guys out. My opponent's having to dispatch some Empire Knights to come deal with us. Meanwhile, Dragon Princes meeting these Demigryph Knights, and my opponent very nicely drops the Enfeebling Foe there, so they'll get just completely dumpstered. Meanwhile, in the mainline fight, ooh, nice shot from Alith Anar there, scything through the edge of those swordsmen. Swordsmen will beat High Elf Spearmen, but we came in with a few cheeky, quick charges with some Dragon Princes, just crushed the Sigmar Sons and the swordsmen out on the far flank of this obelisk, so that our Spearmen have a better chance of winning. Meanwhile, Boris has got in here, a little bit of madness in the back line as these Empire Knights have made contact with my Illyrian Reaver Archers, a little bit of miss micro, but we're just going to pull away and try and get a more favorable engagement there. Meanwhile, Dragon Prince is collapsing in on Boris here, going to be dropping an Earthblood. He's doing a lot of damage to my Life Mage right now, which is unfortunate, but it looks like actually regrowth on those Dragon Princes. We're trying to, ooh, very nice Penumbral Pendulum from my opponent. Not going to save those swordsmen, but did some solid damage. Alith Anar firing into Boris here, as these Dragon Princes kind of hold him in place. Unfortunately, my Life Mage did get terrified, but she'll be back shortly. Meanwhile, in the back line, just continuing to try and clean things up. These Empire Knights did come back and get a hold of my Illyrian Reaver Archers, but we're just going to try and kite them around, as we did shatter the Silver Bullets, and these handgunners have regrouped, but we've been able to keep this Sunmaker more or less offline. It did come back online briefly, but we were able to take it back down. Meanwhile, Demis dealing very well with those Dragon Princes. And in the center, though, Boris is definitely suffering here. There's just a lot of Dragon Princes bogging things down, and these State Troop Swordsmen really aren't going to do a whole lot here. We're kind of ping-ponging around, as you can see, just flinging from one unit to the other, trying to do as much shock damage to these light swordsmen as possible to get them out so that we can focus on the more important targets. You can see these spearmen have overrun a little bit into the back line. We're going to be contacting with some State Troop spearmen here. Illyrian Reaver Archers coming around in the back line, and you can see we just kind of pulled back and then got a nice rear charge here, and these Heralds of the Wind, especially with their decent charge bonus and good combat stats, are going to be able to finish off those Empire Knights. So that's great for me. We're collapsing most of the front line here. You can see the balance of power starting to turn in my favor. We're healing up these Dragon Princes, and the decoy of Alith Anar is just kind of holding Boris in place here. as we do damage to other pockets. You can see collapsing the swordsman here, just trying to avoid the demis as much as possible. As soon as we get rid of these swordsmen, we can kind of focus on them with an alpha strike with a lot of these dragon princes. But in the meantime, Illyrian Reavers, again, just trying to keep this Sunmaker offline. Even if we don't necessarily win the combat back here, which we won't because of these Empire Knights, if we can at least tie these guys down, keep them from getting back on that artillery piece while the rest of this mainline engagement plays out. You can see Boris did get a hold of that Life Mage once more as we pulled away for some more cycle charge action, but that's okay. It's going to give Alith Anar the opportunity to fire away at Boris as he runs in the other direction. Come on, buddy. Let's see you get a shot. He's got that attack order, but oh, here we go. Now he's going to be popping off a shot, trying to make some solid contact, and actually does hit Boris there. So Alith Anar does pretty good AP damage. He can definitely do well shooting at large single targets if he has an open shot. You can see we collapse on these Demigryph Knights, routed off the supporting swordsmen, and now just going to leave them to fight these Spearmen and Delirian Reavers, trying to finish off the rest of these swordsmen in this pocket as well. And seeing that Boris is going to dive down, I pulled another unit of Dragon Princes into the back. Going to, again, pin him down here with their high charge bonus, drop another Earth Blood, and once Boris goes down, it should pretty much be GG. The Demigryph Knights have done very well. These Spearmen, though, holding things up in the back line, again, not allowing that Sunmaker to get back online and use up the rest of its ammo. State Troop Swordsman collapsing in this pocket, and, ooh, here comes Boris. He's routed off at this point, and Alith Anar is just going to dome him right in the head, take him off his Griffin, and at that, the Empire forces are pretty much going to chain route. There were still a few units that weren't routing, but my opponent admitted defeat at that point. There was only a handful of units that were not quite routed yet. You can see these Dragon Princes about to meet these Empire Knights in a head-on charge, and we can only imagine how that would have ended for those poor Empire Knights. But anyway, very fun battle. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. Alith Anar, I wouldn't say he's the most competitive choice, but he's definitely a lot of fun, especially if you're expecting kind of a more expensive armored monstrous lord. He can definitely snipe them out pretty well. Even big, like constructs for the Tomb Kings, things like that. He does pretty good armor-piercing damage, and of course, the bigger the target to shoot at, the easier he has. Easier time he has hitting them. So yeah, very fun battle though. My opponent definitely had some bright spots there. Those Demigryph Knights, man, that combined with the enfeebling foe, he was able to shut down this Dragon Prince super hard. You can see no XP chevron, just completely wiped out to a man almost. And then those Demigryph Knights were able to hold up some time there. 68 kills, 2 XP chevrons, very good stuff. State Troop Swordsman did well in certain aspects, but this is one of the reasons why I like Spearmen with shields a little bit better, because you can't just get face charged quite as easily by those Dragon Princes. And of course, as the combat's unfolding and those Dragon Princes are moving around in that pocket, if they have the spears, at least they have that anti-large bonus to give them a little bit of chance at hurting those Dragon Princes more so than the Swordsmen, which are really going to struggle to do so. Losing the ranged portion of his army so early on was pretty tough. I mean, I say losing. We were able to shatter the Silver Bullets pretty early on, but the Sunmaker, my opponent was doing a good job trying to bring that back online, but we were just able to occupy things for long enough here. You can see the one Illyrian Reaver that took out the Silver Bullets, 2 chevrons, 96 kills, able to come back and also tie up some of these other units. Same thing with these guys, 31 kills, definitely did decently in kind of neutralizing this part of my enemy's army. And then that also forced this unit of Empire Knights to come and protect, which then it wasn't helping out in the front line, so that was beneficial. We were able to shut down this unit of Empire Knights using overwhelming numbers of Illyrian Reavers, and yeah, the Demis we just kind of tried to ignore mostly, but Boris getting caught out there was pretty rough. The Grey Wizard did some good work, but overall, losing that range contingent was a pretty tough time. Against the High Elves, you're really going to have to contest the cavalry game, so I definitely see what my opponent was going for here. I would probably change a couple things, though. Like I said, I think Spearmen with shields are probably a better pick. I do like the pick of the Shadow Wizard, though. Let's see here. If we go to the Empire. So Boris up on his Griffin. I believe my opponent just had the buff and the debuff, and of course the Midland Rune Fangs, so something like that. Grey Wizard. I personally, against the High Elves, rather than taking the Withering, I'm going to take Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma, because it'll be good at helping out in that kind of heroic engagement or against Dragon Princes in particular. And then, yeah, in terms of the rest of his army, I would definitely say upgrade to the Royal Altdorf Griffites, and then you're going to get that cost saving from downgrading your swordsmen to spearmen with shields. Again, these guys aren't necessarily going to win against tile spearmen like swordsmen will. Swordsmen will actually, it's pretty atrocious, but they will actually win that. I'm still going to bring the Sigmar Sons just because these guys are super cost effective. But yeah, you could still bring the Sunmaker. It definitely is going to put some pressure on your opponent to advance on you very, very quickly. Handgunners, Silver Bullets can be a decent pick, although they can be tricky to protect. And then you just juice up on some Empire Knights here. You can take 3, or, you know, maybe retool some cost here to try and get some more. But this gives you a little bit of extra mobility. It gives you a little bit of anti-large in the front line. And it also gives you a more effective demi. Now, granted, my opponent used his demigriffs very well, don't get me wrong, but I believe he even had his caster on a foot here, so you can see you have a little bit of funds to play with here. If you wanted to maybe downgrade these Sigmar Sons, or you could even, you know, downgrade the Silver Bullets, bring something else, but that's kind of getting into strong theory crafting territory. But something like this I think might be a little bit better. The State Troop Swordsmen are definitely an enticing pick, but I think that Spearmen are just a little bit better for the reason that my opponent found out. Dragon Princes are just such a strong unit, and man, those Tuxedo Princes under the Nagarite color scheme are definitely one of my favorite looking units in the game. Just absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, definitely a lot of fun. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, though. What kind of builds do you like to go with as the Empire? Obviously, with my build, it could have been a little bit better. I think to fine-tune things from my perspective, I would still take Alith Anar with his loadout. I believe I had something like this. But rather than taking a life mage, at least against the Empire, I would definitely take a high mage, because if I had Tempest in that fight, I could have been able to neutralize Boris even more effectively, because with the Tempest, obviously he's going to be slowed down, more or less pinned, and taking a lot of damage from that in and of itself. And then I could have shot at him while he was slowed with Alith Anar, and I think between the two of those we could have taken him down even faster. Then you still get Apotheosis for some healing. It's not quite as efficient as bringing a Lore of Life caster, but still a very good loadout, and I think against the Empire this is probably going to be preferable. But like I said, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video you'll be notified. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.